darkness, the sound of horses thundering. Swords clash. The screen fades from black. The sound of wind and prayer echo beneath a blood-red sky. In the 13th century, the world was collapsing. Empires crumbled, dynasties fell, and from the ruins of the East, a new power began to stir, small, hungry, and unshakable in faith. They called themselves the Ottomans. What began as a tribe of warriors in the shadows of the Byzantine Empire would one day command the might of 3 continents, rule for 600 years, and reshape the world. This is not just the story of conquest. It's the story of vision, betrayal, and a dynasty forged in devotion and blood. This is History Unsealed. Subscribe, like, and turn on notifications, because the past isn't gone. It's only waiting to be uncovered. They called it the land of eternal wars, Anatolia, a place where blood and faith mixed like dust and fire, where every mountain held a battle, and every river carried the ashes of empires long dead. From the ruins of Byzantium and the dying breath of the Seljuk Turks, something new began to rise. Not yet an empire, not yet a name whispered in fear across continents, but soon the world would tremble at it. It began with a man, Osman, son of Ertugrul, born in the late 13th century, when the world was breaking apart. Mongols had torn Asia to pieces. Christian crusaders still haunted the East, and in the shadow of collapsing powers, small Turkish tribes fought to survive. Osman led one of them, a nomadic band with little more than horses, swords, and belief. But he had something greater than an army. He had vision. He believed that destiny itself had chosen his people to carry the sword of Islam further west, to build a realm that would last forever. They were surrounded by enemies, Christian Byzantines to the west, rival Turkic Beyliks to the east. Every side wanted them crushed, but Osman did not fight for land. He fought for legacy. He was a warrior who prayed before he killed, a man who carried the Quran in one hand and the sword in the other. And in his dreams, he saw a vision, a tree growing from his chest, spreading its branches over the world. His teacher told him it was a prophecy. He and his bloodline would rule over nations. From that moment, Osman believed he was chosen. He united tribes not through fear, but through faith. He promised them not riches, but purpose. And one by one, warriors came to his banner. The crescent became their symbol. The word ghazi, warrior for faith, became their title. By 1301, Osman attacked the Byzantine stronghold of Baphius. The Byzantines laughed. A peasant army daring to challenge the empire of Rome. But Osman's men moved like ghosts, striking fast, vanishing faster. By the time the sun rose, Byzantine blood soaked the earth. It was the first victory of a state that did not yet exist. But history would remember that battle as the spark that lit 1,000 years of fire. Osman's followers began calling themselves the Ottomans after him. He built alliances through marriage, loyalty through brotherhood, and strength through belief. To his people, he was not just a ruler, he was a chosen servant of God's will. But every prophecy carries a price, and every rise demands blood. As Osman's power grew, so did his enemies. Rival Turkic lords began plotting against him. The Byzantines raided his borders. Even his own kin questioned his divine calling. But Osman's answer was always the same. He fought. For every village burned, he captured two. For every betrayal, he built loyalty with fire and steel. And when Osman finally died around 1326, his son Orhan took up the sword. But Orhan was not content to defend. He would conquer. Orhan marched westward. Under his reign, the small frontier state of Osman exploded into an empire. He captured Bursa, making it the first Ottoman capital, a city of mosques, scholars, and soldiers. He minted coins, built laws, and created an army that answered not to tribal chiefs, but to the Sultan himself. For the first time, the Ottoman dream had walls, a flag, and a throne. And yet, even Orhan's ambition was only the beginning, because the fire that Osman lit would become a wildfire under those who came next. The Ottomans believed they were not merely rulers, but instruments of divine justice. Every victory was destiny, every defeat a test of faith. Their warriors, the ghazis, rode under the crescent banner shouting, "God is with us." Their blades carved through kingdoms. Their prayers echoed over cities that once spoke Latin, Greek, or Persian. In 1354, Orhan's son, Suleiman Pasha, crossed the Dardanelles into Europe. It was a moment that changed history. For the first time, Muslim banners flew on European soil. The Byzantines, once rulers of the known world, watched helplessly as their empire began to crumble before this new force. But the Ottomans were not merely conquerors, they were builders. They created systems where Christians, Jews, and Muslims could live under Ottoman rule. So long as they paid their taxes and accepted the Sultan's law, it was control through tolerance, a genius born not of mercy, but strategy. Because peace meant profit, and profit meant power, the Ottoman expansion was as much about trade as war. They controlled silk routes, spice routes, ports, and cities, from Bursa to Edirne, from Gallipoli to the gates of Constantinople. Their empire grew like a living thing, consuming everything in its path. And yet, behind that glory was always the same heartbeat: blood, belief, and destiny. By the late 14th century, under Sultan Murad I, the Ottomans faced a coalition of Christian knights at Kosovo. The battle was brutal. The earth itself turned red. Murad was slain by a Serbian noble, but even in death, his army triumphed. His son, Bayezid, took the throne upon the battlefield, surrounded by corpses, crowned in blood. From that day, the Ottoman Empire became a legend. They were no longer a frontier tribe. They were an unstoppable machine. Bayezid Bayezid, known as the Thunderbolt, expanded faster than any ruler before him. He defeated Crusader armies, humbled kingdoms, and threatened to overrun all of Europe. But even thunder can be silenced. From the east came another storm, Timur the Lame, the conqueror of Asia. In 1402, at the Battle of Ankara, Timur crushed Bayezid and took him prisoner. The mighty Ottoman ruler, who once made kings kneel, died in captivity. For the first time, the empire trembled. Its lands divided. Its rulers fought one another. But the blood of Osman ran too deep to die. Within decades, the Ottomans rose again, stronger, wiser, and more ruthless than ever. They would soon return, under Mehmed the Conqueror, to take what no one else could, Constantinople itself. And that would mark the true birth of the Ottoman Empire, because the story of empires is always written the same way. Faith builds them, blood sustains them, and fire always follows. Empires built on blood, the rise of the Ottomans. If you believe the past still burns within us, subscribe and join us at History Unsealed, where the stories that shaped the world are brought back to life.